I think we should get started. So my name is Lorna Vanderhaeghe. Many people know me as a women's natural health expert, but my very first book that I wrote was called The Immune System Cure. It was an international bestseller, sold in 6 countries and 4 languages. And I started out talking about the immune system, and then I wrote a book on heart health. I have a master's of science. I've written 13 books on nutrition, and tonight we're going to talk about your immune system and the gut. And so let's get started and talk about how our digestive system works in relationship to all the other systems in the body. And we better get that working properly. There we go. So 70% of your immune system resides in your gut. And that makes sense because think about it, you're eating things all the time where there's invaders, bacteria and parasites and other things that can enter into the body. Your digestive system is also involved in the breakdown and absorption of nutrients, the elimination of waste products, and just eating creates a massive amount of waste for the body to get rid of. Your gut is also involved in making neurotransmitters. One of those is serotonin, your happy hormone. Your gut is also involved in creating lots of energy in the body. And all of the little cells that line the digestive tract are involved in the health benefits that we experience or many of the illnesses that we are exposed to. And there's been some really good articles about the gut. We're learning so much about it now. And the gut is everything from your mouth to your butt. So if you have gas, burping, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea, you've got a gut problem, and we're going to fix it. And we now know that digestive problems are the earliest warning signs of some conditions like Parkinson's. So let's talk about the gut. So inside your digestive system, you have good bacteria, and then you have harmful bacteria, and then you have prebiotics, and prebiotics are feeding your good bacteria. So when the harmful bacteria start overgrowing and the beneficial bacteria start reducing, it can often be because we don't have enough prebiotics. And I'm going to talk a lot about prebiotics. You've heard about probiotics, but let's talk about prebiotics, which are the food for the probiotics. So what are the contributing factors that disrupt your digestive system? Aging. But interestingly enough, how you were born and what you were fed right after you were born has a dramatic role to play in how healthy your digestive system is going to be. So babies that are born by C-section, they tend to not have as good, strong, beneficial bacteria in their gut as babies who make it through the birth canal. Now they're fixing that problem. So if you have a baby that's born by C-section, that they now scoop a lot of the bacteria out of the woman's vagina and smear it into the baby's mouth and up their nose and in their ears so that they can get the same benefits that babies who are born vaginally can. As well, having a clean, super clean house we now know is not good, and dirt is good for our microbiome. So the microbiome is all of the bacteria that live in your gut, the good and the bad. Diet plays a huge role, and stress is a really big problem for your digestive system. So what kind of conditions do we develop as a result of having a dysfunctional gut? Liver disease, fatty liver is a big one. Allergies, remember, your gut and your digestive system and this whole microbiome is a tube that goes from your mouth to your butt. And your skin is a good indicator of what's actually going on inside. So when people have rashes and allergic skin and skin conditions, this is a sign that your digestive system is not doing so well inside. Cancer is, of course, the worst symptom of a microbiome that's gone awry. Autism, ADHD, irritable bowel syndrome, I know somebody mentioned that early. Arthritis is directly related to what's going on in your gut, diabetes and obesity. And these are just some of the conditions. Brain diseases are another one. We now know that Parkinson's is related to what's going on in your gut, as well as depression and anxiety. So we've got to focus on our diet and getting this microbiome inside working properly. We also know that people who have a disrupted microbiome inside their gut, that they also carry weight, much more weight than other people, and they can't lose the weight. It's like it's just stuck there. Almost twice as many women as men suffer from digestive health issues. 62% of the people worldwide suffer from digestive complaints such as constipation, indigestion, diarrhea, heartburn, bloating, gas, and diarrhea. So they're all interspersed, and that's a big chunk of people. 95% of your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, is produced in the small intestine. So when we start to have a lot of gut problems, we're going to also see a lot of mood swings, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of sleep problems. And I've already talked about the fact that 70% of your immune system sits in your gut. So we definitely want to have a healthy gut so we have a stronger immune system. So these are some of the other conditions that are associated. We've talked about depression, Parkinson's, autism spectrum disorder, oral health. We know that our dental caries and oral health is also affected by our gut microbiome. All of the conditions such as cardiovascular related conditions, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's, and colitis. And of course, recurring infections, especially vaginal infections in women. Then we have this gut-brain immune connection, and we know that there are a lot of factors outside of the body. So things like your diet, your lifestyle, infections, neonatal exposure. So that's what we talked about when the way babies are born. And then we have a little bit of factors such as genetics, but genetics really only play about a 5 to 10% role. And your hormones. So your hormones are also affected by what goes on in your guts too. And so when we look at the composition of your microbiome, so that's the good guys and the bad guys, and then the fuel that keep the good guys healthy, we know that this is directly related to our diet. And you probably, if you started to keep a diet diary, so you write down everything that you eat every day, you'll probably find out that you eat the same foods on rotate. Most moms, I remember this when my kids were little, we would have, you know, the Sunday dinner, the Monday dinner, the Wednesday dinner, the Friday dinner, and we would repeat that every week because it's easier to buy groceries. The problem with that is that you limit the diversity in your gut of the microbiome that's living there. So, you know, changing up the foods you eat and eating more fermented food can go a long way to giving you a much more diverse gut bacteria. And of course, if you take antibiotics, this completely disrupts your gut microbiome. So we know that in the brain, that the gut and the brain are talking to each other. For example, your serotonin, your happy hormone, is made in the gut, but it's transported to the brain. And we know that things like migraines and anxiety and depression and autism spectrum disorder, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, all of these things are associated with what's going on in our digestive tract. So antibiotics are really good for us when we need them and very dangerous when we don't. So when you go to the doctor and you feel terrible, you're very sick, they take a throat swab, they write you a prescription for an antibiotic. Do not take the antibiotic until you find out from the lab if you actually have a bacterial infection. Antibiotics are designed to treat bacterial infections, but most of us, when we get an antibiotic, we have a viral infection, and antibiotics do not work against viral infections. So we know that prescription antibiotics can change the gut microbiome. It takes 2 months for the microbiome to recover, but it doesn't come back to its original state, meaning that the composition of your gut microbiome is different and it's less diverse. So it's not very resilient. And after you've had antibiotics, and think about it, some women who have, for example, bladder infections may be put on antibiotics 3 times a year. I know that when I had a lot of dental surgery, they wanted me to take antibiotics every single time I went. And I just knew that would cause complete disaster in my gut microbiome. The constitution of the bacteria in your gut can have an impact on leaky gut, pain syndromes, autoimmune diseases, inflammation, allergies, asthma, skin conditions, and more. So if you've been on antibiotics, then this talk is even more important because we're going to talk about how we can build up the diversity of the good guys in our digestive tract. So this is where prebiotics and probiotics come into play. And prebiotics, you might not have heard about them before. Prebiotics are a special form of undigestible plant fiber that act as food for the good bacteria in your gut. And one of the products I'm going to talk about is B Regular, which is a prebiotic. For those of you who used to buy my product line, we used to have a product called Regular Girl. And B Regular is the same product as Regular Girl. Regular Girl got discontinued. And now we're able to supply it to you again. It is a prebiotic. So B Regular is a prebiotic that feeds your probiotics. The cool thing about prebiotics is that they can survive heat, cold, acid in the gut, and they go way deep into the digestive tract. So they're not just floating on the surface. They actually get in there to feed all the good guys in your digestive tract. It comes in a powder form. You mix it in water. You can't even tell it's there. The taste is indistinguishable from water, and it works like a charm to get your digestive system working properly. Probiotics are live microorganisms that, when consumed in a certain amount, provide health benefits to you. They have to be researched to actually do that. Here's the challenge with the probiotics. They're more fragile. They're vulnerable to heat. They may be killed over time. They are used up by the stomach and the small intestine. So you have to have really, really good quality probiotics, meaning they had to have survived the transfer to the health food store, the transfer by Amazon, however it is. They have to have survived the heat and the cold and all of the things that make them very fragile. That is why I love products like Moducare, which comes in little tubs that are sold in the refrigerator section at the grocery store, and other really top quality probiotics, because they're still alive. If they're dead, they're not a probiotic. They could be a postbiotic. But if you're looking for probiotics to build your gut, really good quality yogurt, and I used to make my own in the Yogurt yogurt container for our family every week. So I'd make quart sizes of it, and you can still buy that Yogurt maker. Another way is, of course, is to eat a diversity of certain foods. So we're going to talk about B Regular because in this case, I know that if you take B Regular, it's a prebiotic. It's going to feed the good guys in your gut. And that's really what we want to do. We want to get more good guys in there than bad guys. So probiotics are important. They're involved in immunity. We know they're involved in obesity if you don't have the right kind in your gut. We know that you have to have probiotics to control inflammation, your metabolism. The bacteria in your gut play a role in the manufacture of B vitamins in the digestive system and vitamin K. Vitamin K is very important for the absorption of calcium and iron. And so, probiotics are very, very important in the digestive tract. And remember, the prebiotics feed the probiotics. B Regular has both prebiotics and probiotics in it. So not all fiber is good fiber. You want to have a prebiotic fiber. And B Regular is a soluble fiber. It enhances a certain bacteria called bifidobacterium. That is a very powerful form of good bacteria. B Regular reduces blood sugar. It also has many other health benefits. It improves the absorption of nutrients. It aids the production of serotonin, your happy hormone, reduces inflammation, supports immunity. There are 3 studies that are using the fiber in B Regular for weight management and blood sugar control. If you've got fatty liver disease, you need to take B Regular fiber as well. And for those of you on the call who have IBS, you definitely want to use it. And again, I'm going to talk about food because you need to eat a variety of food, and fruits and vegetables are so important to getting the prebiotics and the probiotics in your digestive system working well. And if you are not a vegetable or fruit person and you haven't eaten them, don't go out and tomorrow eat 3 cups of them, because your guts are probably going to blow up like a balloon. So you want to eat organic vegetables. Remember, dirt is good. So when we were kids, we used to go in my mom's garden, pull up the carrots, wipe them off, and eat them. Well, now we know that's a really good thing to do because you get a diversity of good bacteria growing in the gut. Fermented foods are important. So I buy the lactic acid fermented sauerkraut, and I have my own jar, and every day I take a big scoop. And this is to give me more diversity in my gut. You don't need to eat a whole bowl. You could just have a forkful every day. And things like organic yogurt, not the sweetened kind, not the kind that has gelatin and other things in it, but true organic, full fat yogurt with good bacteria in it. And then reduce the amount of packaged food, because the packaged food is not alive and does not grow good guys in your gut. And then vary your diet. So every night you want to make sure you add something new, and not so that you're not rotating the same meals every 5 days. And be regular will not cause gas, bloating, no taste. It's clear. It doesn't have grit. It's not gloopy and gloppy. It's a regulating fiber. And, really, we should be eating about 35 grams of fiber a day. We're not. We're falling far short of that. And I was just going to see if I could be regular on my desk. This is what it looks like. And I eat this every single day. And it's such a great product. It has 5 grams of the right kind of fiber. It's got 8 million active probiotics. And the fiber is a prebiotic fiber. And this is what your poop should look like. You should be having 1 12-inch bowel movement a day that looks like a snake, or 3/4. So the middle is normal. And if you have any of the variations on this, you are in desperate need of taking B regular to get it back where it should be. And if you're going 3-4 days between a bowel movement, that is really not good, because remember, it's sitting there and all of this putrefaction is taking place, and you're not detoxifying the body properly. For those of you who have really sensitive, I get the occasional person who's got terrible IBS. First off, you want to make sure that you don't have H. pylori. So go to the doctor and get tested to find out if you have this bacteria called H. pylori. That's a really important thing to do, because if you've had years and years of digestive complaints and the doctor's never checked you for that type of bacteria, it may be the reason why. And then that's a whole different treatment. But start out small. So instead of a full scoop, do a 1/4 scoop, and then do a half, and then do a full scoop. And eventually you'll never want to be without it. So what can we expect when we fix our gut? We have clear skin. We don't have allergies, especially seasonal allergies, which are coming up now that we're in spring. We have improved cognitive function. We have improved absorption of critical nutrients like B vitamins and vitamin K. We have better hormones, because your digestive tract is involved in detoxifying your hormones. The digestive tract is also involved in making some hormones out of another hormone. You'll have better moods. You'll have a much stronger immune system. You won't get so many colds and flu. And you will also have reduced inflammation and pain. So all very, very good things from just fixing your gut. Now we're going to talk about the immune system. Oh, I'll mention the little probiotic pots that I buy. They're called BioK, B-I-O-K. And I love them. They're sold in all our grocery stores in BC. I'm sure across the country they have them as well. They have it in capsules too. And I just get the plain one, and I use a straw and I drink it right out of the container. And I do a pack of 6 once a month. So once a month I buy a pack of 6, and I take 1 a day for 6 days. And you can really tell when you get the right probiotics into your guts. For people who have sent me texts and messages saying, I went on a probiotic and it didn't do anything, most likely the probiotic was dead. And so you need to have live probiotics, and companies like Nature Source have some very good quality probiotics in their health food stores as well. So your immune system, let's talk about it. There's parts of the immune system that are big, and then there are microscopic parts of the immune system you can only see under a microscope. So your thymus is a gland that sits right under your breastbone. So touch your chest, and you know where you have the curved bone? That your thymus is under there. When babies are born, they have a huge thymus. And way back in the early days, the 50s and so on, when babies were born with this giant thymus, they thought that was a bad thing, and they used to radiate it. Thank God they have now learned that that is not a good thing, because your thymus is the center of your immune system. That's where the formation of your T cells happen. And if you want to stimulate your thymus, which I think is a really good thing, you just pound your chest like Tarzan. So hit that breastbone in the center and just stimulate it. You don't have to hit it hard. And as we age, the thymus shrinks, but it doesn't have to. So that's where giving it immune supporting nutrients is so important. Then you have your tonsils and your adenoids. And why are they important? They're actually where your immune system distinguishes invaders that get in your body for destruction. And so it's rare now that they take your tonsils out. When we were kids, everybody was having their tonsils or their adenoids removed. Now they don't do that. Your spleen filters blood. It also sends your T cells and your B cells, your memory cells throughout the body, your lymph glands in your neck, your armpits, and your groin. This is where white blood cells are stored and formed. When you get sick, they will swell up. Sometimes they turn into little hard balls. That's because they're fighting an infection. And then your bone marrow is where B cells are produced. These are your memory cells. So when you're little and you got, say, measles, your immune system mounted this big assault to kill off the measles. It also created memory cells. And those memory cells are then there for the rest of your life. And if you ever get exposed to measles again, your immune system knows how to kill it off immediately. And that's why when we get diseases as children and survived them, it's called survival of the fittest, because you can't get that infection again. Then we have our skin is the largest immune organ. It covers the inside of the body. Your tears, saliva, as well as vaginal secretions are full of immune factors that are like your immune army to fight off invaders. And when you're born with only a little bit of immune system. And as you get, and of course, if your mom breastfed you, then you get some of her immunity. You get some of her immunity through the placenta. And then through exposure to colds and flus and bugs and germs, that is how your immune system develops. And then we have our natural immunity from our tears, our saliva. Think about how many times a day you touch your finger to the corner of your eye, into your mouth, your nose, wherever. This is why you have these secretions that are full of immune army factors that help you fight invaders. And then you have acquired immunity, and this type of immunity develops through exposure, like I was talking about with the measles, chicken pox, the mumps, all of those things that we got as kids. And then cellular immunity is your T cells, your natural killer cells, and your macrophages. And these are the things that are seeking, recognizing, and destroying cancer cells every minute of every day. And that is why you need to have a really good gut, so that you have a really strong immune system to help fight off disease, because that's our immune system's job, is to keep us healthy. And this is a macrophage, the big one, and it engulfs invaders. So all of the things that get into the body that shouldn't be there. One thing I want you to know is 1 teaspoon of white sugar will shut off your macrophage for 5 hours. So I remember when vitamin water came out and it had 11 teaspoons of sugar in it. And I thought, wow, here's a sad situation where we're selling something as a healthy drink, but it has enough white sugar in it to shut off your immune system for hours and hours and hours. So when you are sick, do not drink sugar-containing foods. You want to improve your immune system, not shut it off. So what are the signs of immune dysfunction? Frequent colds and flus, viral infections, herpes outbreaks, cold sores, digestive complaints like IBS, Crohn's, gas, and bloating. These are all signs your immune system isn't working well. Allergies, asthma, that chronic runny nose, you know, the grandma with the Kleenex stuffed up her sleeve. Autoimmune diseases. An autoimmune disease is when the immune system becomes confused, and instead of fighting a virus or a bacteria, it turns on the body and destroys the tissues in MS, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and other conditions. Candida yeast infections that are continually happening, painful swollen joints, psoriasis, eczema, inflammatory disorders like osteoporosis and irritable bowel, HPV warts, ADHD, depression, and even some forms of infertility. So why is our immune system letting us down? I mean, this is one of the most important systems in the body because it keeps you healthy and living a long time. Inadequate nutrition, and everybody thinks they eat well. They all do, until they do a diet diary, and then they find out that they're very deficient in certain nutrients. And so I'll not call it a bad diet, I'll call it inadequate nutrition. Stress, the worst thing ever. I actually got a new Apple Watch because now it tells you how stressed out you are, as if you didn't already know. Lack of sleep is also affecting our immune system. Lots of very virulent viruses, you know, we've already learned about that from our previous outbreak. Bacteria that are becoming bacterial resistant because we're taking antibiotics when we don't have a bacterial infection. And then we pee out the antibiotic into our sewer systems and our lakes and streams and rivers, and we are creating bacterial resistance. Toxic overload, our children receive 35% of their lifetime toxic load of environmental pollutants by the time they're age 5. And I think the newest stat is that we have 7 grams of plastics, microplastics, in our prefrontal cortex. This is terrible, and the poor immune system is trying to fight all this stuff off. So antibiotic overuse and abuse, 1 in 6 bacterial infections are antibiotic resistant. I was shocked when I found out that in traditional farming, that streptomycin and tetracycline, both common antibiotics, are sprayed on produce, especially leafy produce, creating bacterial resistance to these drugs. So you want to buy leafy greens organic whenever you can, or grow them in pots on your balcony. Depression, sadness, and loneliness all contribute to poor immunity. And as we've just learned, your gut microbiome determines if you're going to be depressed or sad. Loneliness, if you know someone who's alone, give them a call. And we are too clean. Dirt is actually your friend because it teaches your immune system to have a variety in the gut. And now I'm going to talk about inflammation, because inflammation is the immune system's first response to injury and invaders. And if you slipped and fell on the ice and sprained your ankle would get red, hot, painful, and swollen. This is your immune system making it heal. It's also causing you to sit in a chair and put ice on it and not walk on it, which also aids healing. Short term, we need inflammation because this is how the immune system cleans up the areas and repairs damage. But long term, the inflammation we can't see causes severe damage in the body. Inflammation in your gums, like gingivitis, inflammation in your heart, in your brain, associated with ADHD and Alzheimer's disease and other brain conditions, and inflammation in your bones, which causes osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, and other inflammation to take part. So if you've got an itis disease with the itis on the end, like arthritis, cystitis, myocarditis, bursitis, tendinitis, thyroiditis, these are all inflammatory conditions, and they're all involved in your immune system. So your immune system creates the inflammation. And then let's talk a little bit about autoimmune diseases. So an autoimmune disease occurs when the immune system becomes confused, and instead of attacking a virus or a bacteria or a fungi or any of the other bad things that come in the body, it turns on the body's tissues and destroys them, and is very effective at damaging because its job is to kill off whatever it thinks is an invader. Nearly 80% of those who have autoimmune diseases are women, and they think there's a hormone connection to that. But I actually think it has more to do with the health of our digestive tract, because at the beginning of the talk, I told you the majority of women, the large percentage of women that have gut problems. So autoimmune diseases can be mild or very destructive. They believe they're initiated by a prior viral or bacterial infection, a really bad one. And since COVID, we have seen a huge increase in autoimmune diseases. Genetics play a tiny role, but not really. And leaky gut and toxic pesticide overload is associated with them. So how does this all relate? And how do we get our immune system working well again? Well, we're going to focus on the gut. So we've kind of talked about that. When you are under stress, your body secretes a ton of cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. And when that happens, on the flip side of your body, internal body, your DHEA, which is your immune hormone, and also an anti-aging hormone, drops. So cortisol goes up, DHEA drops. What happens when those two things happen? You get more inflammation, more pain, more arthritis, more allergies, more ADHD, more autoimmune disorders. And on the flip side, you get rapid aging, you get cancer, chronic infections, colds, flu, HIV, TB, warts, herpes. You get heart disease, you get increased aging. So this seesaw in the immune system caused by stress, lack of sleep, environmental toxins is what we're seeing today. A lot of people just have this completely disrupted immune system where your immune system is overinflamed, and on the flip side, we're aging rapidly. That's what's happening when this goes down. What we want is to be in harmony. So we want to have the seesaw put back into a balanced situation. This is why I tell people never, never, never take immune boosting nutrients. If someone's trying to sell you an immune booster, this is what you get. Bump up this side of the immune system, then the other side of the immune system doesn't work so well. And they know this in cancer treatments. They can only push your immune system so far before it stops working and starts to create all of this increased cancer, abnormal cell growth, and other factors, and a lot of pain. I'm going to take questions at the end. So if your question doesn't get answered in the chat box, I will try very hard to answer the questions at the end. So how do we fix this? They're very similar things to do to fix your gut as they are to fix your immune system. So you want to eat more vegetables and fruit, and blueberries are the best fruit to consume because they also create short chain fatty acids in the gut, and they have an effect like Be Regular. Not as powerful as Be Regular, but they do have an effect. And you want to eat a diverse range of fruits and vegetables. So try some new things in there so you can kind of shake it up. And then take Be Regular, that also contains probiotics, and fermented foods. Things like kimchi. Make sure it's not with sugar. I know that some of them are made with a lot of sugar, but kimchi and sauerkraut and other fermented things like yogurt, kefir, those are all great things to include. Kombucha if it's not loaded with sugar. So again, you want to read the labels when you do this. And then we want to deal with our negative emotions, and we want to sleep. Those are two things that are critical. So if you have a lot of childhood trauma, then you really want to deal with those issues so that you can have peace in your guts. And for people who are always walking around feeling like they've got, that anxiety in their gut, you really need to focus on getting your digestive system working properly with things like prebiotics and probiotics and diet change, deep breathing exercises, and sleeping. So whatever you do, and on my social media at Lorna Vanderhaeghe, you will find my sleep protocol. So you can go there and take a look at it because it works like a charm for most people. Stress is a really big killer. It's the thing that's causing your cortisol to go off the map. And stress is different things for different people. Driving in terrible traffic, living in a bad marriage, taking care of your parents and your kids. I mean, all of these things create stress. If you hate your job, spend every waking moment finding a new job, because when you're under stress, this promotes very negative immune factors to be secreted by your immune system that cause lots of inflammation in the body. And when that happens, stress goes up, DHEA drops. And the only thing I've ever found that raises DHEA naturally and drops cortisol extremely fast is Moducare. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But when this all is going down, when you've got this stress cortisol response, your adrenal glands become exhausted, your thyroid goes low, you end up with gut problems, you end up with liver toxicity, fatty liver, you end up with more allergies. It's just not a good thing. And so we need to get that cortisol to DHEA balanced in the body. So Moducare is something I've been talking about since 1998. I had the great pleasure of going and meeting the researchers who had already spent a couple of decades doing research on this ingredient before it came to Canada and the US in 1998. And it is a combination of plant beta-sitosterol and beta-sitosterol glucosides. And this combination has been researched for, well, now 30 years. I need to update the slide. In human research, and they've done research in kids for allergies, they've done research for HIV, HPV, herpes, respiratory conditions. They've done research in men who have enlarged prostate and prostatitis, which is an inflammatory condition. They've done research in rheumatoid arthritis. They did research in marathon runners. Marathon runners have the most damaged immune system. Why? They are under incredible stress. So anyone who overexercises to extreme, your cortisol goes up, your DHEA drops. In extreme situations, that's the marathon runner who finishes the Boston Marathon and then drops dead from a heart attack at the end. So in the marathon runner study, and marathon runners are people who overexercise, get a lot of colds and flu, which is an indicator your immune system is very low and not working well. And what they found in that study, that they were able to bring their cortisol down. Now, this is in a group of extreme stress, and naturally bring their DHEA levels up. And this is key because you want to have adequate DHEA as you age. As we age, DHEA declines, and Moducare is something that will keep your DHEA levels normalized. You also want to have vitamin D. And everybody should already be taking vitamin D. I almost laugh when I talk about it because by now, every single human from pregnancy until we die should be on vitamin D. It is the immunity vitamin. It is the gut vitamin. It is known to prevent breast and colon cancer. It is dirt cheap. Vitamin D is not expensive, and it works on all aspects of the immune system. It decreases the ability of viruses to reproduce. It is antimicrobial, so it fights off microbes. It regulates both the inflammatory and the anti-inflammatory side, because remember, inflammation can be good and bad. It's known, as I already said, to reduce the risk of cancers of the breast and colon. It also is phenomenal for increasing glutathione. Glutathione is a powerful detoxifier. Women know about glutathione because it makes your skin beautiful. So how much should you take? Well, kids need 1,000 IUs per day. Adults need 2,500 IUs in the summer and 5,000 IUs in the winter. Those who live in Maui in Florida do not need to worry about this as much because you're out in the sunshine. You need to be naked in the midday sun 2 hours a day to produce enough vitamin D. Of course, those of us who live in the north, who are wrapped up in parkas and hats for 8 months of the year, we are not doing that. And Health Canada's dosage of vitamin D for adults is 2,500 IUs. They increased it, I don't know, 5 years ago. So that is how much vitamin D you need. If you have autoimmune disorders, of course, your doctor will have you on much higher doses. If you have cancer, you would take higher doses as well. But it is such an important nutrient for the immune system. Vitamin D and Moducare will transform your life. Iron deficiency is another situation that causes complete gut disruption and immune function. And iron deficiency is so common. It is the most common deficiency in children, infants, pregnant women, women's athletes, seniors, everybody. And, you know, doctors only think that we need to worry about it in women when we're menstruating. But most of those older women living in the nursing homes with the thin hair actually have virtually no iron, which is why their hair is falling out. If you do not have enough iron, you can't make hormones and you can't make serotonin. And new research has shown that if you have low iron, not even anemia, just low iron, it reduces the action of your T cells, which are crucial for destroying invaders in the body, viruses, bacteria, fungi, all the things we eat. And T cells require a large amount of iron. And if iron is scarce, then your mitochondria, this is your energy cells in the body that keep you young, can't make energy and are not able to fight off viruses. This is why kids with low iron continually get infections and why the elderly are continually getting infections. You have to have adequate iron to have a good functioning immune system and a healthy gut. And we should be getting 20 milligrams of iron from our diet. That would be red meat, chicken, lamb, all of those types of things. Well, a lot of people have cut back on their meat consumption, especially lately because it's gotten so incredibly expensive. And so my recommendation is that everyone should be on 10 milligrams of elemental iron just as a maintenance. If you are already deficient in iron or you have anemia, of course, you're going to need much, much more than that, probably 30 milligrams, 40 milligrams, and maybe even more. But 10 milligrams a day of elemental iron would be what you would take just to ensure that you're getting enough in your daily diet. So that's kind of like the daily requirement. My daughter's company is called Kidstar Nutrients, and they have a fantastic iron called BioFi. And this is a non-constipating iron. It tastes fantastic. It will not cause constipation. It doesn't turn your teeth gray like other liquid irons. And it comes in multiple different delivery systems. So a liquid, and it also comes in drops for infants. And if you're pregnant and you're iron deficient or anemic, your baby is going to be low in iron when it's born. So make sure if you are low in iron when you're pregnant, that when you have your baby, they test your baby, because we want to make sure that your kids get it right away. It's so important for brain development, for physical development, to prevent ADHD and sleep problems in kids. And then they have these two little chewables and they taste fantastic. So make sure you give it a try, and all of her nutrients are clean. They have no garbage in them, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, just fantastic. And Nature's Source, of course, sells them, and I'm going to give you a code at the end for you to get a discount. Vitamin C, we cannot make vitamin C. Humans can't make it. You have to get it from your food. Only 9% of Canadians are getting adequate levels of vitamin C. That's terrible. And vitamin C stops viruses from reproducing. It's antibacterial. It's super powerful for your immune system. It makes your gut work better. It creates glutathione again, that very important nutrient for the immune system and the digestive system. It's also needed for healthy aging, and it controls overactive immune function. And I like buffered vitamin C. So buffered vitamin C is like, oh, and I eat bottles full of it. The great thing about having a kid who has her own product line, is that I get to take all the products. So mine is sitting right here, and I eat this all day long because they're so great. They actually have real tangerine in them and no sugar or other bad things. And it's buffered vitamin C. And what I mean by buffered vitamin C is they have bound the vitamin C, the ascorbic acid, with magnesium, potassium, and calcium. It is not magnesium, calcium, and potassium supplement. It is vitamin C, but it's very easy on the gut. And it also helps to enhance the absorption of the vitamin C. Fermented foods, I'm going to talk about them again because they're so important for creating diversity in the gut. So, fermented foods or beverages, kefir, yogurt, but remember, organic, full-fat yogurt that actually contains good bacteria and no gelatin and sugar and all that other nasty stuff. You can add bananas and blueberries to it to make it the way your kids will eat it. Anyways, fermented foods like Be Regular, which is a prebiotic fiber, they improve the ability of the body to digest lactose, for weight management, for bone health, for improving blood pressure, for reducing the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes and colon cancer. And so these are the kinds of things I would add. Kombucha, if it's sugar, not loaded with sugar, kefir, miso, which is fantastic, sauerkraut, apple cider vinegar, not the kind sold in the traditional normal grocery stores. You want the real apple cider vinegar, and yogurt. And diversity. So start mixing the foods up because most of us just eat the same foods on repeat every week. So here's the daily immune and gut system program that I recommend, along with good food. So remember the good food. Be Regular prebiotic fiber, which contains probiotics. You want 1 scoop a day. And for those of you with the real severe IBS and Crohn's and other things, start with a small amount and just work your way up to 1 scoop a day. You put it in water. I put it in my big water bottle and drink it all day long. It doesn't go gloopy. You won't even know it's in there. Moducare for the whole family, so kids can take it. We have a chewable form. We also have it in capsules. And the best way to take it is 2 before bed and 1 when you wake up, or 2 when you wake up and 1 before bed, because it's best taken on an empty stomach. The chewables we just kind of eat throughout the day when we're not eating other food. Vitamin D3 for kids, they want 1,000 IUs for, I was going to say IUDs. In adults, 2,500 to 5,000 IUs. And no, this is not a toxic dose. Adults, the amount of vitamin C you want to take is 3,000 milligrams a day. In kids, of course, less than that. 500 is good. The BioFi iron. The reason why this iron is so special is it's micronized and microencapsulated iron. And it goes right to the receptor in the small intestine. So you don't get any gastrointestinal problems. You don't get constipation. You don't get tummy upset. You don't get nausea. It raises hemoglobin and ferritin quickly. And it is good for all ages, from birth until death. And the bottles have the dosages on there. You can take 10 to 30 milligrams a day. And if your doctor wants you to take more, take more. And eat a variety of fresh foods. Try and get as many fresh foods in there as you can. So let's see if I got another slide. Oh yeah, the most important slide for Nature Source, and then I'm going to answer your questions. So they are giving 20% off all of KidStar products. So that's my daughter's company, and they have a vitamin C and a vitamin D, and they have a whole bunch of kids' nutrients as well. But they also have Be Regular, Moducare, and the BioFi iron. So go to Nature Source, and it's natures-source.com, and you get 20% off when you use the code Lorna20. So this is a great deal, and they're a great store. So do that. Sign up for my newsletter if you haven't already at lornahealth.com. And my social media is Lorna Vanderhaeghe. So let's go through some of the questions. Okay, someone wants to know what I do with my hair because it looks great. And so what do I do for hair? I take BioSil, which BioSil has, I'm going to put it close to the camera. Hopefully you can see it. And this product has teeny tiny little capsules. It's absolutely awesome. And I know that Nature Source sells BioSil too. Maybe they'll give you 20% off that. I use BioSil because it enhances keratin in your hair. It makes your hair grow so fast, it's ridiculous. I don't have any gray hair yet. My hair is going dark. It's unbelievable. It's getting darker and darker and darker as I age. I don't know why, but that's what's happening. And anyways, you'll just love it once you start taking BioSil. It makes your fingernails hard. But here's the best thing. You get a 2% increase in bone density every year based on DEXA scans when you use that supplement. Would I recommend Moducare for asthma? Absolutely. In the kids study, they found that the kids were blowing into the peak air monitor, and the kids that took the Moducare were able to blow very hard into that. So absolutely, Moducare works for asthma and allergies. And here's the thing, if you get allergies, you want to start Moducare today, you take it forever, and next year you're gonna get to June and you're gonna go, wow, I didn't have any allergies this year. Well, that's how Moducare works. Okay, let's see what other questions there are in here that I should be answering. Okay, what about biotin for hair and nails? And you know what? In those biotin supplements, I see these pink gummies covered with sugar. One of my friends was taking them. I said to her, no wonder you can't lose any weight. You are consuming sugar bombs. And that is not going to make your hair and nails better. So you want to get in there and you want to get the keratin and the collagen. Your bones, your nails, and your hair are full of keratin and collagen. And you want to make the hair follicles and your nails and your bones create more of it. And BioSil does that. So that's why I would recommend that 1,000 times over a biotin supplement. And stop buying supplements that are full of sugar, and gummies have nothing in them. If you want to eat candy, go eat candy. I think it's really not a good thing for us to be consuming these gummies that have basically fairy dust in them because they can't really put much more. It's not really solving the problem. Oh, what is the best way to clear H. pylori? If you have H. pylori, sadly, you have to go on the antibiotics, but there are other things that we add to that as well. We add a supplement called mastic. We also add pomegranate extract. It's been found to treat H. pylori very well. And if you've been on antibiotics for H. pylori and it didn't kill the H. pylori, then you definitely want to take the pomegranate extract. That's capsules of it. If you're drinking pomegranate juice, you don't want it sweetened. So make sure you buy the real, not from concentrate pomegranate juice. Okay. What about biotin for hair and nails? Okay. Is there any discount on Be Regular? Yes. Use the Lorna 20 discount at Nature Source and they'll give you the discount on that. Digestive enzymes. I love digestive enzymes, but here's the challenge with a lot of them. They tell you to take them half an hour to an hour before meals. Most of us forget to do that. Chew your food until it is liquid because there is no carburetor in the gut. Actually, I like Jameson's digestive enzyme. They are tiny, they are super potent, and you can take them when you eat. And if you ate too much at dinner and feel over full, take them after dinner too. Okay, is yogurt advised? What about soy milk? I am not a fan of soy products because they are estrogenic. And so my recommendation is not to consume a lot of soy products. As well, soy is what we call an anti-nutrient, actually blocks the absorption of iron and other vitamins. So I definitely don't recommend soy. If you're a vegetarian, then having tofu once a week isn't going to be a big deal. But if you're drinking venti soy lattes every day, that is a problem. It's not good for you. And so somebody asked about what foods make endometriosis and fibroids worse. Soy products would be one of those. So make sure you're not doing that. As well, you want to consume foods that are hormone balancing, things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, blueberries, things that are healing foods, pomegranate, the things that will really get your digestive system working properly. I'm trying to get all the vitamin C causes kidney stones. No, vitamin C does not cause kidney stones. The reason why I recommend that kidney stones are caused by a dysfunction in the amount of magnesium you consume. Most Canadians are magnesium deficient. If you don't have enough magnesium, then you create these stones in the body. So make sure you're on magnesium bisglycinate if you get kidney stones. And vitamin C will not do that. And the reason why I recommend you take buffered vitamin C versus ascorbic acid. So ascorbic acid is vitamin C. Ascorbate is vitamin C. Adding the magnesium, the potassium, and the calcium and binding it together with the vitamin C will make it all perfect. So that's why I recommended the type of vitamin C that I recommended. If you get kidney stones, you need magnesium. And if you're on a calcium supplement, you get kidney stones, stop your calcium supplement and take more magnesium. Drink lots of water too, because people who get kidney stones tend to not drink enough water. Okay, if I take vitamin D that says only 1 per day and it's 1,000, yes, you can take 2 to 5. And then that will be, and you can take them all at once. You know, I use these little drops and I put them on the back of my hand and I count out 10 every day because I love vitamin D and it makes you healthy. If your DHEA has already dropped due to extreme stress, will Moducare help it rise again? Yes, that is exactly what we found happen in the marathon runners. They had DHEA in the pit of despair, and taking Moducare brought their DHEA up and lowered their cortisol, which is what you want to have happen. Take Moducare every day, and this will keep those things balanced. What dose of vitamin D do I recommend for perimenopause women? 2,500 IUs in the summer and 5,000 in the winter. That's what I recommend. Okay. Is it best to take health products and be regular 2 hours away from medications? If you're on drugs, prescription drugs, you shouldn't take any of your nutrients with the prescription drugs. It should be at least 2 hours apart. And I always tell people to take their nutrients with food. So if you're taking capsules, take them with food. Of course, if you're eating vitamin C like I do, you don't have to. And drinking the water with Be Regular, you don't have to worry about that either. But yeah, if you're on drugs, you definitely want to make sure that you take it a couple hours apart. Yes, you can take Be Regular with the rovastatin. I have chronic pain, PCOS. What is the best thing to do? On my website, I have a whole PCOS program that you can follow, and it's really for people who are estrogen dominant as well. We have a program that works for women with fibroids and ovarian cysts and all of those types of things. And on YouTube, I have a hormone talk. So if you want to listen to that one, it'll really help. Is it true that you should not consume kombucha if you have a fungus? Well, it depends on the type of fungus you have. I definitely would not be taking anything other than what you need to do to get the fungus under control. Get on Be Regular so that you can get your gut to work properly, and hopefully you're on some type of antifungal to get the fungus under control. Okay. Yes, you can have a copy of this presentation. And what if you've had your appendix and your tonsils and your adenoids out? Well, you just have to work a little bit harder to keep your immune system strong. But the immune system is brilliant. It's going to take care of you even in the worst situations. Think about it. We drink alcohol, we consume bucket loads of sugar, we eat the wrong foods, we don't sleep, we're stressed to the max, and somehow this immune system still is able to keep us upright. The key is we want to feel fit, fabulous, and great. And that's why I'm recommending that you do these things to get your gut and your immune system working properly. Okay, how long will it take to fix the gut? Well, the more changes you make and the faster you do it, remember, chew your food until it's mush, sit down in a chair, don't stand at your island while you eat, breathe, don't drink bucket loads of fluid when you eat. I sit with friends and have dinner, and people are downing the water while they eat. That's fine if you have a really great functioning gut, but if you have gas, burping, bloating, and all of the problems that go along with it, acid reflux, you don't want to drink bucket loads of fluid while you're eating. You want to have your digestive enzymes functioning properly and your hydrochloric acid doing its job properly. If you're using a lot of Tums and antacids, we need to get you off those. Smaller meals, eat smaller amounts, chew them well, take digestive enzymes, take B regular, as well as some probiotics like Moducare. Well, if you've tried prebiotics without luck, you might just want to start with a smaller amount and build up until your body gets used to them. And there are lots of different types of prebiotics. We rarely have anybody complain about using the prebiotic fiber in B regular. So just start smaller. Let me think about where we are. I'm going back down to the bottom in case I've missed somebody's questions. If you have a question about cancer or something more complicated, you can email me at Lorna Health. So my website is lornahealth.com. Just put Lorna at Lorna Health and I'll help you that way. Just so that is it okay to eat coconut milk yogurt? Sure, as long as it's got probiotics in it, as long as it is actually utilizing a probiotic and doesn't have a pile of sugar and gelatin and other things in there. Anyways, I think we've answered a lot of the questions, and make sure you use the code Lorna20 at Nature Source. We'll send out the presentation link so you can watch it again if you wish. And thank you very much for everybody coming on the call this evening. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Nature Source for sponsoring today's talk. And KidStar is my daughter's company, and they sell B Regular, Moducare, and BioFeet Iron. And you can get those at Nature Source. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have an awesome evening.